are here, and YouTube is live as well. Welcome. Take a moment and tell us where you're watching from. We'd love to hear it. And of course, as always, make sure you're subscribing, you're liking, you're sharing, whichever platform you're on. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to put them in the box. We will be happy to address them. We'll try. Good morning. Hope you have something, a tea, a coffee, whatever it may be. We're a little bit off topic today. It's because some of the audience here wants to talk about and discuss the idea of thinking positive. So for a moment, let's analyze this. What is this underscore and this emphasis and this constant mentioning? You got to be positive. You got to think positive. This is a general Jewish value. And very specifically in Hasidic thought, we speak about it a lot. Got to be positive. Now, there is a mimer of the Alter Rebbe, which he talks about. It's almost like a side note. But he says over there that if you look in the punishments of the Torah, and it speaks about certain things that will befall a person, the Jewish nation, it happened already, and we also know that there are hidden blessings there, so we don't have to worry about them. But it says there that why is all this happening? Because you didn't serve God with joy, which is a very harsh thing to say. If you think about the words, it means you served God. You just didn't do it with joy. That's like saying, you washed my floors, so I'm going to pay you. Actually, you weren't smiling when you did it. No pay. What does that mean? What would make much more sense is, here's your pay. Because you were happy when you did it, I appreciate that energy. I appreciate your attitude. I'm giving you a tip as a result. So you weren't happy, no tip. But you're not getting a punishment because you weren't happy. I did the job, right? And if you look at the words in the Torah, it implies that. It doesn't imply. It says clearly, because you didn't serve God with joy, now you're going to all those things that say there. It's not fair, and where's justice? You still did the job, you just weren't happy, right? So the Alter Rebbe explains that sometimes, for whatever reason in heaven, there may be a decree against a person, whatever it may be. It could be something they've done. It could be something that has to happen to them because of other reasons. It could be some reincarnation, whatever the situation may be, but something is not good in their cards. They may or may not know about it. In other words, something may already be going on. But then they choose to be happy. They rejoice. They're positive. They're not in denial. They're doing that everything that has to happen. If it's a medical issue, they're speaking to the doctor. If it's a financial issue, they're taking the responsible steps. They're not like just doing nothing. But while they do their part, they're being happy. They're rejoicing. They're trying their best. And when someone is happy, happiness has a quality to it, has a power, has an energy that it breaks through all obstacles. That's what energy does. That's what positivity does. That's what happiness does. Joy. And think about, if you go to meet somebody, you want a favor from them. Did you ever hear like, hey, I'm in a good mood, let's do it, right? If you're in a good mood, somehow it moves, it works. And if they're not in a good mood, it's a little bit harder. You can still get it done, but it's a little bit harder. That's the way it works in the world. When you're happy, when you're joyous, it causes good things to happen. Even if somebody is spiritually undeserving, even in heaven, there's some kind of decree against them or whatever is in the plan, joy has the ability to break it. Joy has the ability to override it. It's a lot about what we talk about here. There's certain ways and certain things that we need to do. When we realize them, the power they have, the intensity that they have, it's phenomenal.
Joy breaks barriers.
Correct. Very good.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. It breaks barriers. Now, so the Alter Rebbe is saying that there was something in that person's plan, in God's plan for this person, that was not to be so good. There was something off for other reasons. And now, hello, Gloria. And now, because of their joy, God says, no, forget it. We're not going to do it, even if they deserve it, even if it's supposed to happen to them, because happiness breaks barriers. That's number one. So a person needs to be happy because he has to be happy. When a person is joyous, it causes good things to happen. Now, it's not easy when things are not going well. The second thing is, and the second reason is, and this goes hand in hand with the concept of tracht gut wird sein gut, think positive and it'll be positive. There's a saying that the Rebbe often said, quoting the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Lubavitcher Rebbe, think positive and it will be positive. Tracht gut wird sein gut. And the concept there is that when you think positive, you're expressing that you trust Hashem, it'll work out. A person is faced with a challenge, God forbid, and different things are going through their mind. If they have trust in God and they're thinking it'll work out, it'll be okay, everything will be fine, it takes trust. Okay, it takes optimism, it takes a positive attitude. And when a person does that and he expresses his trust, God said, he trusts me, I'm going to make it good for him. Even if it wasn't supposed to be that way. That's the power of trusting God. There are human examples for this, many, but let's leave it at that. When a person has that attitude, that approach, then they see a lot of good things. Now, it's been proven in modern psychology as well that when a person is positive, when a person has an optimistic view, things go better for them. They overcome certain challenges. So we have joy breaks boundaries. We have positivity, which expresses your trust in God, which is a symptom of your trust in God, and therefore, as a reward, good things come. And thirdly, there is an idea that you attract good things for you. For example, when you think something, is it real? Is it real?
No.
It's only in your thought.
Yeah.
It could be an imagination. Okay. But what's real? Real is a physical thing. This world is real. Now, the reality is that it's not exactly like that. This world is real. It's physical. But there's also a world of speech. When you say things, they have impact. There's a story that Rebbe brings from the Baal Shem Tov in Hayom Yom, that one time in the Baal Shem Tov's shul, the house of study, they were davening, and after davening, two of the villagers, we'll call them, they had some argument, and they were arguing with each other verbally. And at some point, out of tremendous anger, frustration, one of them said to the other, "I'm going to rip you apart like a fish," which is an expression of someone that's hanging out in the marketplace. I'll just tear you to pieces like you tear a fish to pieces. And at that moment, the Baal Shem Tov turned to his closest disciples. He gathered them all around in a circle. He said, "Put your hands on each other's shoulders," which they did. And then the Alter Rebbe put his holy hands on the shoulders of the two closest disciples to him, and he told them, "Close your eyes." And they closed their eyes and they started to shriek because they saw vision in their minds of this fellow ripping his friend to pieces like a fish. Then the Baal Shem Tov removed his two holy hands and the vision stopped. And he explained to them, he didn't rip him to pieces like a fish. He's right here, wherever he left the room. But he said he will. And words have impact. Is it real? It's not real. Mm-hmm. But it's closer to reality than not saying it. Mm-hmm. And in some manner, you're bringing it closer and you're making it possible to happen. Thought is also a world. It's higher, in other words, more removed than speech. And of course, more removed than action, but it's something. And when you think in a certain way, it creates it in a distant manner, but it's creating it. And eventually you're bringing it closer to you. Thinking that way, you talk about it, and then you do it. When you think it's impossible, how's the saying go? If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that you could walk through walls and do the impossible. But there are a lot of things that are challenging, but they're surmountable challenges. And through positivity and through putting in our effort and trying, we could do it.
What was your statement about you can, and you can't?
If you think you can, and you can't, or you think you can't, you're right.
Can't.
You're right, because if you think you could, you probably could. It'll lead you to be able to. You'll give it all you got. But a person is just blah and unmotivated and just doesn't care because he thinks he can't, then he won't. He won't even try. He gave up, right? So thinking positive, trying your best is very important. So with that, we're going to stop for davening, and we'll say the Chaim on coffee. I wish everyone here a wonderful day. Please share the comments. If you didn't subscribe yet to the channel, it's a great time to do so, and share the video with others. Be well.
How how do I sign on to